Hello. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about what makes a good cinematographer, or what even makes a cinematographer. There's a lot of videos out there about lighting setup this and lighting setup that, and I think that's all great and it's all really healthy. But all of these things about upstage key, L of the room, using negative fill, this technique, that, we all know that at this point, and that doesn't make you a cinematographer. So I just wanted to talk about a couple things that I think makes somebody a cinematographer, or even potentially a better cinematographer. I've shot a couple shorts and I will be doing breakdowns and things of them coming up because I like to look back on my work and I think it'll be healthy for me going forward. But I just wanted to share some ideas that I've learned along the way that have helped me just be on projects that I enjoy more. I shot a short that was dreadful. I put a lot of time into it, and the more I've looked back on it, the more I realized that I was focusing on the wrong things during that production. And a couple months later, I got the opportunity to shoot another short, excuse me, and I completely changed the way that I went into the project. And to date, that has been by far the best project I've ever worked on. I got access to all these things that I wanted, and I really felt like I was giving my best to the project. So yeah, I just wanted to share a couple things that I think make a better cinematographer and that you might want to incorporate or at least think about. This doesn't really apply too much to people that are sort of self-shooters or YouTube creators too much, because this video isn't really for people like that. But yeah, it kind of goes without saying, but firstly, experience. Unless you're a massively cautious shooter, you've definitely gotten yourself into a sticky situation before. And even with a massive amount of preparation, you'll still end up having these little shortfalls and moments. With experience, you most likely won't get overwhelmed when things start going wrong, and you'll have a quicker system in place mentally to get over those things and problem solve in the moment. I know it kind of goes without saying. I would say that this is the best way to improve as a cinematographer. So stop watching this video, message somebody, just get that next project rolling, because that is really the way that you're going to find and learn about this role. It's all good saying that the experience is the way you can improve as a cinematographer, but what can we do in between this project and the next that will help us go into the next one, not being overwhelmed by the situation and not going too over the top, and coming away from it with more knowledge as well as experience? Firstly, listen, or just drop your preconceptions. Clear your mind, make sure there's no camera, no lighting setup thing that you're interested in trying. You should go into it with a completely clear mind. Talk to the director as early on as possible and try and just get an idea for what's going on in their mind, and try and think about as well how they've come up with things. Try and understand where their idea has come from. And even if you do have ideas, make note of them, but I would say just hold back from sharing them. You want to get as much raw information just from the director and just from the script, as much of that as possible before you start trying to formulate your ideas. Ultimately, all your ideas should come from them. A certain camera, a certain lens, you should just clear all of that. None of that should be in the project. It should all come from the project to you. You're just another person formulating ideas based off of the idea, and you can only do that once you have a good understanding of the story, the script, and you and the director's brain are sort of at one. Like you got to be at that level. There has to be almost no barrier between your knowledge and the director's knowledge, so that you can basically make decisions for them that they would also agree with. It can be tricky, these jobs come few and far between sometimes, but trade an opportunity to impress for an opportunity to improve. It's very useful for you to criticize every choice or idea that you have. Think about, where's that come from? Does that really serve the script? Like, is that the script giving me the idea, or is that me giving the idea and trying to impose it onto the script and impose it onto the project? Secondly, focus on all the things that aren't your job, or at least focus on all the things that you think aren't your job. Lighting doesn't matter, it's someone else's job. Camera doesn't matter. If you have a team, they will take care of all of this for you. What you need to be focusing on is production, logistics, your time management. You need to be able to get in there and give yourself as much time as possible on the day to achieve all of those cool ideas that you have. Time management and the actual logistics and way that the shoot is going to pan out is probably your biggest concern. Your influence on the time management and shooting schedule of a project is so important because you know how quick your camera team works. You know how quickly the lighting team works. You need to be able to buy yourself time for them in certain scenarios and know when you can take time away from your team to give to production for elsewhere. So time pressure causes so much stress and can force so many decisions out of your hand. That's why it's best to focus on it early on so you don't have to think about it later. Lastly, this is not your magnum opus. This might be the best thing that you've worked on to date, but it definitely won't be the best thing that you ever work on. Don't lose faith. Don't be disheartened by the fact that, with thoughts that, I could do better and this is terrible. With the information you had at the time, you've created the best thing that you possibly could to that point. I myself have suffered from this before, and that's sort of being too precious on your areas of influence on a project. You need to be passionate enough to obviously give it your all, but you're understanding that this is a collaborative effort between many different people. And that can be hard, balancing ideas that feel personal, especially if you're attached to a script. But understand that if someone gives you feedback or explains a reason why an idea of yours might not work, this is not a personal attack. They have the project's best interest in their head, and if it's the director, they probably know the idea better than you do anyway. If you're trying to do anything with this role particularly, you should be having those ideas, but understanding that, at the end of the day, you do have to sort of let it go. Whenever you contribute, you risk being shut down in some way, but that's all part of the process, and this isn't your magnum opus, remember. So when it's all over, you probably won't remember it anyway. You'll be thinking about the next set of problems or another project or something else. So don't worry about it.